Today we have an interview human of Saradic, and our guest is Denys Volkov. Can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure, happy to be here. I'm originally from Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine, second largest city. I came to Canada almost 20 years ago now, and I work in public administration, politics, and I'm a graduate of the University of Manitoba in Winnipeg.
Okay, thank you so much. Why did you want to work or volunteer at Oseredok? What's your goal here?
Well, Oscaratic, I believe, does a lot of great work in the community. It's always present, whether it's in social media. The location of Oscaratic is very important for the community here. And I find a lot of initiatives of interest to me, great fundraisers, something different that other Ukrainian organizations don't do. So I decided to volunteer and give back to the Ukrainian community and do something important, not only for the community, but for sort of the goal of Oseredok to advance and preserve Ukrainian heritage.
Oh, thank you. How did you first hear about Oseredok? Was it like when you first came to Canada, or did it happen a bit later?
I think I heard of Oseredok right away. Again, the building is in a very prominent location, and I could right away see the name Oseredok when I was in downtown Winnipeg. And also I learned through my friends who talked about the important collections that Oseredok has. I actually was on a behind-the-scenes tour of the archives of Oseredok that really helped me to understand how many treasures we have here of the Ukrainian culture. So throughout my life, throughout different work that I've been doing in the community, Oseredok name always came up. So I really wanted to be part of that.
Okay, so you were involved in Ukrainian community since the very beginning. You traveled to Canada.
Yes, when I was in university, we reestablished at that time Ukrainian Student Union, which was dormant for many years. So it was active. That's when the Orange Revolution happened. So we played a role in raising awareness of what's happening in Ukraine as students here in Winnipeg.
Okay, made a difference for Ukrainian community here and back in Ukraine. And do you remember your first time at Oseredok? How was it? When was it?
I don't remember my first time, to be honest, but I remember attending art gallery exhibitions, and I really love space here when there are different events. It's always a great place to be at. So I remember coming here and being impressed with this boutique store, with space for meetings, with the art gallery. So I remember coming here throughout sort of my years here in Winnipeg.
Thank you. And also, do you remember what is your first and favorite event at Oseredok?
I've had many favorite events at Oseredok.
Okay, we can talk about every.
I believe Oseredok does fundraisers very well. I believe fundraising is important for Oseredok and for the community, and the fundraising events always unique. So I remember dinners at the Lucas restaurant. There was a great event last year, the beer garden, just outside of Oseredok. So there are always unique events that I find interesting for me personally, and I believe for the community as well.
What events do you want to see at Oseredok more?
I would like to see more events in the sort of median space, because Oseredok is located sort of very central, so connecting with other groups, hosting events that other groups can use space, so Oseredok can organize events with other groups, so utilizing space. Also fundraising in sort of the art gallery space. There is always opportunity to organize, let's say, a fundraiser on an event in a beautiful space where people can also see paintings, people can see cultural artifacts, and at the same time have fun.
Okay, thank you. What is your favorite memory about Oseredok? Not just event, but maybe you have something unique to share, but
Memory of Oseredok. Well, I believe just the building itself to me has a lot of significance because again of its location right in downtown, surrounded by other museums, other important buildings here in the city, and just having sort of this one place where you can come and whether you're buying something at the boutique or you're attending an event, so it just means a lot to me personally.
So, what do you like the most about working at Oseredok as a person who knows Oseredok for 20 years?
Well, I'm rejoining the board again this year, so I really look forward making sure that we're in a strong sort of we have a strong governance system here. So I really enjoy working with staff here. I believe everybody from Julia, staff, and everybody is doing a great job here. So just being a part of that, again, through being a board member, you meet a lot of interesting people who have a lot of knowledge from other areas of work. We all come with different experiences, so socializing and planning for the future of Oscaratic to make sure Oscaratic here is for many years to come.
Okay, you mentioned that it's important to bring people from different backgrounds with different skills. And I have the following question for you. What is your skills and what like traits you brought to like Oscaratic as a board member?
Very good question. I come again from public administration background, so I worked a lot in government structures here in Canada. I worked a lot with committees, so I understand well from how other organizations work and how government interacts with other organizations is how to be an efficient non-for-profit organization. And my skills are around sort of governance structures. Also, I've been involved in a lot of fundraisers over the years. So that's another area of expertise that I bring. And also I work a lot in communication. So important to me that Oscaratic communicates well with the members of the community, the government, the public in general, and sort of having that presence. And I believe I can contribute in those areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And also, you mentioned that you rejoined Oseredok board member, right? So you were a board member before, right?
That's correct. I was a board member before a few years ago under different leadership here of the different executive director. So I'm really looking forward working with this executive director and look forward coming back.
Why have you decided to commit time and energy like one more time and to rejoin board member?
Well, I believe we're at the critical moment right now for Oscaratic with different initiatives that are happening. And again, with what's happening in Ukraine right now, I believe we should put more emphasis in preserving Ukrainian culture and heritage in Canada as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is one thing, or many of them, you would like to change to make Oscaratic a better place?
Well, those I will keep them for the board meetings. But I believe Oscaratic is already a great place. So I don't believe that we sort of need to focus a lot on what we need to change, where we need to maybe focus on what is working for us and how we can build on that and make sure that we sort of focus on positives and building on something that can make Oscaratic stronger in the future. And, you know, problems will always come up. We will just have to deal with them.
Yeah. So maybe like one thing that we need to introduce to Oscaratic that'll make a better space. One thing that you should bring here.
Well, I think what I like all the initiatives that are happening. I don't think there is one specific initiative that is missing. I personally look forward to sort of new ideas that staff brings forward and the board members discuss, and usually through collaboration we find something we can improve on. And I find Oscaratic is never sort of stagnant. It always staff always work on new initiatives.
So just keep working.
Keep working, yes.
The question about like Ukrainians in general, Ukrainian community here and back in Ukraine. What is the power of being Ukrainian, and what is the power of Ukrainians?
It's a very good and relevant question, especially these days. I think the current conflict in Ukraine brought a lot of Ukrainians together from different backgrounds, people who speak different languages, different religions, and we can see all of those people are defending Ukraine at home, and here people are coming together. So I think the strength of Ukrainian culture and heritage is bringing people together, and right now it's about the preservation of Ukrainian state. So I think right now we're at the critical moment in history.
Have to work on it. And you mentioned that what you brought to Oscaratic, but what do you think Oscaratic, what you've learned from Oscaratic, and what have you learned during your time as a board member or just a person who discovered Oscaratic?
This is a very important question because I'm coming from Eastern Ukraine, where a lot of that cultural identity has been lost for many years due to the Soviet sort of experience in Eastern Ukraine and them trying to erase Ukrainian culture and heritage. And I learned here through even visiting archives a lot about history. I learned through different exhibitions here about art and culture, and I've attended sort of different lectures here. So I actually, for myself personally, I learned a lot about Ukrainian culture and heritage while being here in Canada. So that the information that I did not have or I could not obtain or was not available when I actually lived in Ukraine. So to me, this is a center that has preserved Ukrainian culture over the years, and now we can learn from Oseredok.
Okay, I think it's relevant to me as well because I think I learned more about Ukrainian culture here than I learned back in Ukraine.
Correct.
Do you think that there is a difference between Ukrainian culture in Ukraine and here in Canada, in Ukrainian Canadian community?
Well, I believe sort of the foundational stuff here is the same, is preserved through history. But of course, culture is always changing in Ukraine, and you do see differences, and it's important that Oscaratic sort of stays on top of that and preserve sort of a new information as well from what's happening in Ukraine right now, and makes it a part of sort of the historic sort of continuum of collections here, because culture is changing in Ukraine, but it's important to preserve not only sort of the classical Ukrainian culture, but the modern culture as well. Yeah, to bring it. Yeah, it's very important.
Just to combine culture like more than one and their classic that.
Yes, having built on the classic culture, but be contemporary as well.
Regarding age groups, this was an interesting question for me regarding age groups of Oscaratic, how we should target them in our programming, like what people should be involved in the Ukrainian community. There are like different questions on how we can encourage youth to come here to Oscaratic and explore Ukrainian culture. For you as a person who came here when you were around 20 years old, how you understand that like traveling to Canada and preserving your culture, Ukrainian heritage and Ukrainian culture was important. How did you come up with this idea that I want to go to Ukrainian Center and I want to keep being in Ukrainian environment?
I think for me, it was important to be part of a larger community, and Oscaratic always been an active organization that I wanted to be part of because I believe in what Oscaratic is doing. Staying relevant to youth is a good question, because youth sort of understands or receives information differently from outside world than maybe other generations. So make it more sort of asking youth what they would like to see. I'm no longer in that category. So if you ask youth what they would like to do here, and adjusting sort of operations to to what they would like to see, I think is important, because youth is interested in different things that maybe older generations. So just making it current and relevant to youth.
So what are the different ways that you can think of that can encourage youth to come here?
Again, I'm not youth anymore, so I don't want to speak on behalf of youth. But anything that I see trends of being more interactive in how information is delivered, whether it's through social media, whether it's through more interactive meetings when people actually come here, or delivering information to them via social media and other platforms, and making it interesting for them to come here through different events, and they, understanding how they process information, and sort of adapting to how youth sort of understands and learns.
Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll be able to create our new programming that will encourage youth to come here and to help us.
Absolutely, I know you will.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay,
Thank
well,
you so
thank you.
much.
Thank you very much.
It was interesting interviewing with you and ideas. It was interesting to hear your story with Oscaratic, because I didn't know you're involved with that many years at
Yes.
Oscaratic.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Ukrainian Student Association as well.
Yes, I was on the board here for a few years, about I would say maybe 5-7 years ago, maybe. Actually, maybe more now, maybe 8-9 years ago. So it's nice to come back. I already know Saradic from the board.
Know the story and know
Yes, for sure.
how
Yeah.
to work with that, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.